So this is how I'm going to help this agency get to $200,000 months consistently, right? So the first thing is like where we're at right now, $40,000 to $80,000 in ranges. It's very consistent. The lead flow is really dependent on the revenue bring in as well as the referral model. So like we're not doing ads, all of that. So how am I going to actually consistently make it to $200,000 months? Is implement ads, implement a referral system, also implements many other strategies to make sure these leads are warm and we can get referrals off of just our ads as well. So like this is what like $200,000 actually looks like. So the average client value is $10,000 to $18,000. There's a placement fee as well as a retainer if you have 12 to 15 clients per month, and then $200,000 monthly revenue. So it's pretty easy. So it's a very low leverage in terms of trying to get more clients and lowering the cost, because it's just going to make us worse. Because let's say sales reps for this team, they're a sales placement agency. So if you let's say 2 reps on each client, that's 24 to 30 reps every single month. Over some time you're not gonna have a pipeline. So it's better just to make sure that you'll keep the price high to make sure you have less clients but more profit. Because each client does cost around $3,000 to $5,000 on average to actually fulfill. So you see that how much you have to get per client for ads. So usually it's like $3,000. So usually your profit is, let's say, $2,000 to $8,000 in profit just from that one client. And if you do that with, say, 10 clients, 10,000 profit, that's $100,000 of profit right there. So that's what the actual math looks like. And then the 4 pillars that we look like, what we do to actually make sure that we get there is first paid acquisition. Right now, $40,000 to $80,000 months, you could probably just do that for organic, right? Or just, referrals. But if you want to actually implement that to make it consistent, you have, 3 strategies you can do. Bin 1, direct response ads, and bin 2. So bin 1 and bin 2, what that means is really just basically hammering them with very much content heavy resources. So like there's gonna be 3-second resources where they basically learn something. If after 3 seconds they stay there, you hammer them with more ads. So that way you basically signal to Meta saying, okay, if they pass the 3-second mark and they're still watching, make sure that they get hammered with as much content with ads to them. So that way they get warmed up, and when they see the direct response ad, which is 70% of the ad spend, they'll get way more warmed up and they'll understand who we are. So it's basically using organic but with money. And then bin 2, basically vice versa, is where after they figured out, they saw the ad, now they just want more content to actually make sure that they're getting the results and they want what they do. So that's bin 2. And then the second thing is call funnel. So there's no opt-in. We're working with B2B owners, so they don't want to opt in. We're giving free training, none of that. So just no opt-in, just a VSL to application page to book a call, right? So the application is super simple, just a few questions to make sure that they are qualified, and that's it. That way, after when they book a call, we hammer them with as much content as possible, because people with B2B, they actually will research you. And if they see no research at all or no content at all, they'll say, okay, what is going on with this guy? Like, there's no social proof, there's no content, I don't know who this guy is, so how can I trust him? And they'll just no show. So with B2B, your no show rate is basically congruent with how much content you can send them. And then 3 is a payment machine. So after they get a client, they actually place the setters or closers, then you get back end money. So after that, you have to make sure these setters, closers, all that are actually consistent with the amount of money they make. So they can consistently make $100,000 a month in not commissions but revenue, and then you get, like, let's say 3 to 5% of that. So after some time, you can also build a backup revenue. So let's say you place 1,000 reps and you get 3% of that, and they all made, let's say, like $8 million in revenue. If 3% of $8 million, I don't want to do the math, but that's a big chunk of change, right? That's like, say, $300,000. If you consistently do that, then you can easily upsell these people, because you can have as much data on placing people as well as marketing and then also sales operations. So you upsell these people to, a full stack where it's a marketing and a sales operations, where we do everything, and you're probably going to leave like, let's say, 3 to 5 clients a month. And usually you just, basically outsource a lot of this to people you trust, to programs you trust. And after that, boom, you're basically making minimum $200,000 a month consistently. You could probably upsell this to, multi-million-dollar months. But that's all hypothetical, theoretical, and I just want to make sure like you understand this isn't any income claims. This is everything that I'm just basically doing a blueprint to make sure that I can get to these months. So then the paid acquisition, like I was telling first time, it's the 10%, 20% bin 1, bin 2. So there's the cold content, no CTAs, just basically just free value. Same thing with bin 2 is different, where it's propaganda. So I think if you saw Jeremy Haynes' content, where it's like you make sure that these people who are seeing your content are in the middle layer, where they can either one side where it's like laydowns who know they have a problem they want to buy, or people that just think everything is a scam. So you want to make sure that this propaganda goes away from that scammy side, where they basically you can take even people that think it's a scam to the side where it's like in the middle they don't know yet, to then eventually make them laydowns. Because if you can do that, you can easily scale from this $200 to $1 million months, because you need to make sure you're basically tapping into the whole market. So let's say the market is 3% laydowns, 70% or 3% laydowns, 70% just in the middle, and then the extra 27% are just skeptics. If you can get that middle range where it's 70% and make sure you optimize it, you can make so much damn money. So that's where this comes in. This is to make sure that people who are cold come to you. And then eventually, once you have such a big audience, let's say like Tai Lopez, for example, then you can just do direct response ads, because people already trust you, they understand you, they either hate you or love you. There's no in between anymore. So you just direct response, you just tell them this is what you do, this is how you get it, and this is how you can make money. And then that's the ad side. But now this is the sales side. So let's say they book in, they get a VSL, they get all of that. Now you hammer them with so much content. So 30 to 50 pieces of content. That doesn't mean the content has to be 50 minutes and none of that. They have to be very high quality content. So they can be content of explaining objections people get, concerns, comments, anything to make sure that you basically ensure them that you're reliable. Not that they're like certain in you, but you're reliable. They want to trust you first, because they've probably seen 3,000 other ads or 3,000 other people say the same thing, where they can get you this, that. But if you can show them content, target them, give them unique impressions, you actually have basically with your sales rep, or let's say if you're the owner who's taking these calls, take basically a selfie of yourself and then send it to them to make sure that they are warmed up and they actually know you and trust you. Because the biggest thing that you need to know is make sure these people trust you. The more trust they have, the better they can actually talk to you, and then if they talk to you better, you can understand their concerns and their business in a sense. Because these aren't some clients that it's like a biz up. No, this is B2B. So you have to actually have these people as partners. And if you have people as partners, you can easily scale this and then help them, and then they go get referrals. So there's a lot of things that can go on good. But then the other side, the wrong side, where it's like, let's say you mess someone up, then that specific industry, that specific person will talk bad about you to like 30 other people. And then now you have the other side where they're skeptics or just don't like you. So then you have that side. So you basically turning those people to people that hate you. You want to make sure that you have more people like you than hate you, in terms of just how you can help them. If you can get that, if you can get at least 51% of people to like you, then you can make easily billions of dollars. But if you have, let's say, 49% of people like you and 51, then eventually that's going to simmer down to let's say 1 to 0, 0.5% people like you, because people hate more than they love. So if you can do that, then you can easily make so much more money. But like I said, it's easy in terms, but you have to actually implement it. There's a lot of things that go wrong or could go right, and you just don't know why. So the offer structure for that team. So the starter is, let's say, one setter place. This is all just like hypothetical. These aren't real numbers. But the starter, where you can only place one setter, and during that process, you want to understand, if you want like an AA player, B player, or C player. Like C players, you need C and B players usually most of the time. They're not even C players, just B players, just to make sure these A players actually eat. Or you want an A player because you have so many B players. So you have to understand that process, and then give them that where it's like, okay, we can give you this much. This is how much it's going to be. Because realistically, if a setter is collecting you $100,000, then you should not worry about $10,000. But if a setter is making you $50,000, you should be worrying about paying $5,000, for example, because that's consistent every single month. Now, this is just how the structure is. And look, that's just pure hypothetical. This is making sure it's super simple. Most people won't have to do this. Full stack, usually you can make it $20,000 and retain or not retain 10% profit share, because honestly it's better, because they'll know that you want to work with them longer term rather than just a quick scheme where you just get a couple bucks. And then these are the 3 channel acquisitions I was talking about: the cold outreach, referral, and meta paid ads. Once you have meta paid ads down, you don't have to do cold outreach, because eventually people will know you. They'll reach out to you through just content itself. The referral program, same thing. People will refer you even without you knowing, saying, "Oh, this guy's really good. Go talk to him. I won't tell you much, but if you like him, here." On the other side, someone's gonna ask, "Okay, well, who should I go to?" And they'll not recommend you. So you want to make sure that you're a person that can people recommend. So just be super good at actually fulfilling and knowing what's the highest leverage person to actually make sure that you can have these referrals, because you don't want to make sure that you don't have the mindset of just referrals. You actually have to have the mindset of happy clients, because then, if they're happy, they make more money, you make more money. So it's really simple, but people overcomplicate it. So this is the 3-channel acquisition framework. And then just content that pre-sells it, like huge scale. You have to have direct, indirect, and the flywheel. So the direct response ads is basically very head-on, just ROI, just no fluff, just things that are just going to say, like, hey, this is what you're going to do, so how is it going to help it? And just making sure that they can see the ROI. Indirect is actually the mindset, where it's like, okay, how can I shift this person's mindset from where they're at to where they want to be? And the flywheel is just basically a repeatable format, basically. So it's like you have a topic that you can talk about, but you can implement it like in a new topic each time. So for example, let's say you're like a BizOp, for example, or even a B2B agency, is how can I take a topic of ads, marketing, and then marketing ads are different. Like let's say Google ads, how can I go from sales, like sales operations, to sales systems, sales ops? So you can like talk about that more often, but that's what you have to do, all right? And then that's a 90-day sprint. Like once you get that, once you go from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, because the ad spend is, because if you haven't implemented ads before, then there's going to be 3 phases where you're going to have to understand what to do. So in these 3 phases, days 1 to 30, you have to make sure you implement all these things, test, understand what works. You might not make that much profit, but you understand what works. And then eventually, phase 2, that's when you scale. That's when you make more money, make sure that things work out. And then phase 3, that's when you're basically breaking 200, breaking that mark, and then eventually scaling, and then hammering more, putting more money to ads, and making sure that you can easily scale this to multi-million-dollar months. And then, the KPIs that you need is a cost per booked call, less than $150, show rate at least 75%, close rate 30%, client lifetime value $20,000 plus, so it can be $100,000 if you do the upsell. Placement fill rates 85%, so there's gonna be 15% where you just can't placement someone, or you're gonna have to tell them, here's a refund, so you can do that. And then the referrals, so percentage of how much money referrals is 25%. So from the $200,000, you need $50,000 where they're just purely referrals. If you can do that, you can easily make sure that you're such a high profit range that you can make lots of money. These stats are very hypothetical. Most of the time, show rate is gonna be like 50%. Close rate might be more towards the 10%. The LTV actually might be more. Placement should be 100% because you should give as much value to people. And then referrals, to be honest, it shouldn't be 25%. It should be like 10. But these are like basically like the highest you can go, because you don't want to look for the lowest, you look for the highest. But at the same time, you also have to understand what's the realistic goal. So if you understand that these are what you're looking to get, if you get these type of numbers consistently, you're very high profit margins. You actually should scale up, should put more money into ads, and you should just hire more, because if you understand like these numbers pretty much are very, very, very healthy. So yeah, and then you could do the dual offer, which makes no sense. But so this is not just building a $200,000 a month; it's actually making sure that this $200,000 a month runs without you. So these are like everything that you have to do. So you have to understand your identity first, so the beliefs you have, because some people don't know, they just don't believe they could get there, or even more. And then the behavior you have in terms of that, because let's say there's a watch that's like $10,000, for example. Jeremy Haynes says it. If you can't even buy that, then how are you gonna make $200,000 a month? Because you're gonna have to put at least that much money to ads. So if you're not able to do that, then you're not able to actually scale to this. The outcomes you have, and then the math works, strategy works, everything works. It's just the mindset behind it. So yeah, this is everything. If you actually want to see this in person, and you actually want to see your team actually get sales reps placed as well, you can have a call with us. You can look over a little bit about my content from my Instagram, our partners, and if everything looks aligned, you can just book a call with us. If not, all good. Talk to you soon.